Okay, wait a minute. That's not. You got to go back like to the main page.
Yeah, like to here.
I think you might need to go back one more.
Well, this
Go
is
back one more.
home. Yeah, that's home.
Do you see where it says Polka Dot Rabbit Podcast and Live?
Uh, I see this. Uh,
Let me see.
I went to the Polka Dot Rabbit uh, profile page, and
Is
then
that where you went in?
yeah, and then it had where your icon usually is. It had a little thing that said live under it.
Oh, okay. Well, you might be right then. You might be able to do it that way as well. Yeah, walk us through it real quick. Hey, as y'all can see, thanks for everybody. Just bear with us. We trying to get everything straight on the other end, so we appreciate y'all waiting. Let's see. Now, oh yeah, well Gary, I guess just tell him how you got in. That'd probably be the easiest way if you went that way.
Oh, so just go to the Polka Dot Rabbit,
mhm.
like go
I'm
to
in
like
there.
the little.
Yeah.
No,
That's
you're
the
looking at
story right there.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
Go back
story.
one.
So like go to your
All right.
like right, yeah, and then if you should be able to click that thing right there, that
Yeah,
icon. It should
click the
say
icon.
live. Is that throwing
Yeah,
you
when
the
I click
story?
that, when I click there, it takes me to
Oh,
there.
it's taking them to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Bear
weird.
with us, y'all.
Maybe you have like
We working
IG
on
Live
it.
disabled or something.
It's okay. Don't worry. Just go without me.
Yeah, we
It's
keep it
fine.
rolling.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
good.
All
it's
right.
cool. All right, y'all. Sorry about the technical difficulties. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. It's all good. And as always, let me go ahead and talk about the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. We here at the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, we are here to uplift humanity. And as if you've been following me, you've been seeing that I'm diversifying my podcast more and more and more, and just dealing with real people, real subjects, and this right here is a very special show because if y'all watched last week, I had a podcast of one of my good friends down in Atlanta that really got me to the music scene down here. Now I'm going further back in time and literally dealing with um, some of my old bandmates that really started me into music, like really as far as playing my first ever band. Pretty much everybody here. Yep, everybody here besides hopefully our original drummer Chris shows up, but everybody here, if you if you know me from Atlanta and you see me my all my different bands down there, Atomic, Amul, they would not be where they were today without this band right here that y'all are looking at. This was my first band I ever um, was a part of, ever started. You know what I mean? I learned so much from these cats. You know what I mean? I talk about it in the book. Of course, if you haven't, please pick up the book. Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. Pick up Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. And I do talk about these individuals in the book because and Gary Llama, OVOLR Records, he is the one that helped me actually put the book out. And we're working on something in the future as well. Um, and I got to give props to Gary because he's like the archive and all of the music from that we all were, dealing with in Richmond. But that's really it for me. I'm gonna let everybody introduce you what they said, what they did in the band and etc. Then we'll kind of move on from there. So go ahead. Who wants to go first? Scott, you're the eldest. Go ahead.
It's like the Brady Bunch, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm Scott, drummer, second drummer.
Yeah, I'm Dan.
Okay.
I play guitar.
I'm Ryan, bass player, bass guitar.
And like I said, that's. Oh, go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You explain why you're here and what you and what you do.
I'm Gary Llama, and I run Ovolr Records. I played in $500 Fine around the time that Indypendant was doing their thing, and we played a bunch of shows together and was friends of y'all. Went on some sweet tours to various parts of the, or maybe one, to various parts of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess we all need to kind of give some history about this band. Um, like I said in the book, you know what I'm saying? I guess this was my Independent was a brain. I just needed an outlet from just being a young, black man in Midlothian, Virginia, dealing with all the stresses, all many different things that came across growing up. I'm just being just a teenager, a young, a young man, just in general. So I remember I saw BCS one time perform at I think it was in Midlothian High School, and I was just like, yo, I want to do that. So I literally went up the sound hole, like I said in the book, and I was just like wrote a thing, said I want to start a band, and Chris Ferguson hit me up. So I'm gonna let Dan take over since Chris isn't here from that standpoint, and kind of like what happened from there.
Yeah, it's funny when I was thinking about doing this earlier today. Actually, it's kind of going back to how this all started, and so kind of leading up to all that. Ryan and I were really close friends in middle school. He was like the other kid in the school who had long hair in the back, not the front. And so I don't know if you all watched Beavis and Butthead, but when Beavis and Butthead would see like Todd, that like redneck dude who drove the shitty car. That was kind of what I thought of. I saw Ryan. I was like, oh, he's so cool. He had like the longest hair in school. He's wearing his, total Hesher t-shirts. And I was like, man, I want to be that guy. And so, anyway, somehow we started playing music together and we had no drummer. We practiced every week for like a year with no drummer, which is awful. It was like 2 guitar players and a bass player. We wrote lyrics, even though we had no singer. They're all about the government and aliens because Megadeth had done that. So we thought that was cool. It was awful. We had the best thing was I read some of Ryan's lyrics once, and they were about the government's experimenting on aliens. I think one of the lyrics was like
Damn, Ryan.
It was hilarious. It was like one of the lyrics was leave them alone, they're just curious.
Oh my god.
It was so good. Anyway, Ryan, well, for whatever reason, band didn't really work out. Probably because we didn't have a drummer. And then I was finally allowed to grow the front of my hair out and started doing that. And I remember, I'll get serious here now. I had to really kind of bring it down to earth of how lame I was. But I started getting into punk rock. I would ride my bike up to Sound Hole. There was a guy who worked the front of there called Bo Diller. His name was Bo Diller, and I guess he was like, "Hey, you seem somewhat promising, but you're a Hesher. Why don't you check out these other bands? Like, if you like Slayer and Metallica, maybe you'd like Unbroken or Gorilla Biscuits or some of these other bands." And so I started listening to that. And this record store, Sound Hole, Gary will remember it. He grew up on grew up on Southside, so he'll probably remember it. But that was sort of like the center point for the music community, especially on Southside. And there was this little pegboard in the back of beside of Sound Hole where you could listen to records. And on there was this one flyer, and it's like, drummer looking for band, has singer. I think it was like Megadeth, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. It was like the most eclectic mix of things. But I saw like 3 bands in there. I was like, oh yeah, I like that band and that band. Biohazard, I think, might have been on there. So called him, pulled one of the things off, went over his house, practiced, and the first practice he was like, hey, we have a singer, he's coming over later. And I look out the window, I saw Joe walk up. That was the first time I ever saw Joe. I was 14, he was 19. We started jamming, and it was awesome. It was like the best thing ever. That's kind of where my whole musical journey started, where I met Joe. At that point, Ryan wasn't in the band. There was a guy named Ben Godby, I think, played bass, and he was cool. He was a cool dude, but he just was like, yeah, I'm not that interested in it. I was like, well, I know the best bass player in town. His name's Ryan Shade, and so that's how Ryan came in. So yeah, that's kind of how me and Joe and Ryan first linked up.
Hold on 1 second, and because Chris, I think is that Chris? No, that's not Chris. Never mind. Is that Chris? I can't tell if that's Chris or not. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. If that is you, Chris, you can accept accept to request to join. I can't tell if that's him. It looks like him. I can't. But go ahead.
But yeah, that was it. Sorry for that story, Ryan. It was it's one of my. I mean, we joke about horrible stuff all the time. So that going back in time and kind of thinking about all those funny things about when you're 13 or 14 and you're trying to imagine playing music for the first time, it's just it's a fond memory when we were first trying to write lyrics and stuff, and we were just trying to emulate, our heroes. So it's fun stuff.
Yeah, that brings up a really good point, though, because, I'm just now realizing that the short long, right? That wasn't just because we had no taste. It was literally because, I think to our parents, it was less scary to just grow the back out.
Yeah.
like when you graduated to full on, it's just fucking over. At that point, you're just a thug.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all it was. Like, I never set out to only have it long in the back.
Right.
It was just like, well, this will be okay at church. Was basically what it was.
you could put it in a bun or something. Put it in
So are y'all talking like you had mullets?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was straight up mother.
Because when I meet you,
Chris
y'all's hair was
I
like
don't know
as
if y'all
long as
seen
mine
him.
when I first met you.
Yeah, you were
Chris.
always
What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's that?
Chris is here. Hey, Chris, are you able to go on IG Live with your phone? Are you already on?
Yeah.
Just request to join. Go to my Polka Dot Rabbit podcast and request to join live there, and just use your phone so I can put you on the IG live stream.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So in the meantime, see, Chris just showed up right on time because Chris, we just talked about how we got to the point in which I put the flyer up at Soundhole, and the Dan got introduced to Ryan because Ben Godby left. So
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of fill in the blank from, you know what I'm saying, from how you and I just met, and kind of fill that in there. And in the meantime, go ahead and work on your getting it on the IG live thing. Oh wait,
Okay, let's see. I'm on.
Yeah, go to if you see Polka Dot Rabbit podcast live, click on that. You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, click on that first.
Okay, I'm on. I can see everything.
Okay, and then put request to join.
I can't figure it out. I don't see where it says request to join.
All right, do you see that? Do you see the live?
Yeah. Click on that.
Yeah, click what it says. Yeah, exactly. Click on where it says live.
Okay, there we go. And
and then it should say request to join.
God, I wish I could share a picture on here because I have a really good mullet picture.
I mean, you really
Oh
could.
my
Actually.
god.
I do agree with you, Gary. It took me a long time to convince my mom to grow the front part out, because she just thought that was absolute trouble to grow the front part out. But yeah, and Dan,
I mean,
I still
back
think aliens are hilarious. So.
Oh,
I mean,
so
back
good.
then
see it, Chris?
they were just mad we were wearing black all the
So
time.
it says independent band reunion, and then it says in this room, and then it says who's watching.
So you can. It doesn't say anywhere like except to join.
No, it just says I'm following the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast.
I don't know. Because if it says live, and you clicked on live. Do you see us all live right now?
Yeah.
Huh. That's odd. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We got the other one on. It's all good.
Cool.
All right, let's go ahead, Chris. Go ahead and fill in when I guess we met up until just fill in from we met and go forward.
Okay, so I don't even really remember how old I was. I think it was like 16 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think you were 16. I was
That sounds
14.
right.
You had the S10, the white S10 pickup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so you were driving.
Okay, so I was driving. Yeah, I had the white S10 pickup. Yeah, you came to my house to pick me up. Or no, wait. My parents dropped me off at Rock and Roll McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
and brought my drums and everything there. We dropped off packed it all into your car because we were gonna go. I think over was it Dan's house?
Dan's house, yeah. 1988 Dodge Daytona.
Yes.
That's right. It was. I remember that car. You used to listen to Screeching Weasel, and you get real excited. And you go like this the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
He used to go like that on everything.
Yeah.
But he so we hop in the car and start cruising. We pull out a Rock and Roll McDonald's. We're going down the wrong way, so we're heading into traffic
On the whole street.
on Midlothian, like
Oh,
right over
Midlothian,
by
yeah.
what was it? Right over by the by that Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both sitting there and we're listening to Operation Ivy. We might have been listening to Screeching Weasel. I don't remember.
Probably was.
It's usually one of
But
those
for
two.
some reason, I feel like we were listening to that song Friends off of Operation Ivy. And we're cruising down the road, and then we look up, and there's like all these cars coming towards us. And Joe goes, huh, I think we got to turn around.
Yeah.
And then we went
That
over
was our
to,
introduction. then we politely
and then,
escaped death and went to Dan's house. And you know what? We jam. Actually, Chris, we used to jam over your house too, up in your room.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep. That was the first
Yep.
time I jammed with you guys. Was in your room.
In your room, yeah.
And I think we played an Entombed song. And
Yep.
oh, it was Wolverine Blues.
Wolverine Blues.
You were like the other dude who knew about Entombed, so that was like, oh yeah, Chris is awesome.
Yeah, we'd rock that all the time.
Oh yeah. All the time. Yep. And that's actually, Chris, we actually wrote Fist to the Face in your bedroom.
Yep.
Yep, we sure did. I remember that. So eventually, we all moved the whole jam spot after Ben and Dan. I'm sorry, Dan and Ryan linked up. We linked up with Chris, and we pretty much wrote that first demo, right?
With
We
what
wrote-
was it?
Isn't that right? We wrote
Fist to the
most of the
Face.
songs on that first
And
demo
what was
all
it?
together, right?
Yeah, but what was that
Change
one
of
song?
Pace.
Was it Last in Line?
Oh yeah, last. Damn man, you going back, man? Good gracious, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Surprised you remember that.
I remember Change of Pace.
Yeah.
Change of Pace, that's right.
Disloyal Ally.
Disloyal Ally, I think, was.
That was the
Man,
first song, and I
I'm telling
remember
y'all, man.
we played it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're good.
If you remember, you guys played. I saw you guys. You were doing. You're playing in the driveway somewhere at a house show or something.
Yeah, that was with
You know what I'm
Ben
talking
Gabi.
about? It was like
That was, yes. The best part about that was Chris's drums were set up in a storage shed, and all of the amps were in front of him, so he couldn't hear anything. And we had a video of it, and I remember watching it, and after every song, I see Chris looking at us like, what the fuck? I can't hear anything. Like, because we literally had you, like, closed in. And, I mean, the show was great. I mean, it was good, but it was like, I remember Matt Plunkett was there. And,
house.
yeah.
Was that the girl's house right over near
that girl's
St.
house,
Edwards?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ashley Dyer was there, and I was, but it was weird trying to jam out outside in a driveway. It was funny. It was a fun time, but I totally remember that show.
Yeah.
And that was the last show we did, and before I think Ryan joined.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. And it was so interesting. And you know, I've been talked as like I said in the book. We've all talked on and off ever since then up until now. But one thing I have to say, it's like I learned so much about music by playing with these cats, man. Like y'all don't even know, like we would write songs together, like they would write the music, and that's when I started learning lyrically, how to do pre-choruses and chords and bridges. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, especially later on with this music, you can really hear that it was very, very technical because of Dan's guitar playing, and also Scott and Chris's drums and bass playing. This music, it was, the first demo was kind of just like Biohazard and freaking Metallica, you know what I'm saying? But that last album, like Ryan just texted me later, he was like listening to it, and it was very, very, very technical. And I still say it was like really ahead of its time from what a lot of people were doing back then, man. But it was a nice progression, you know what I mean, of just the angry F you aliens, F you government into, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. So, you know what? I'm gonna pause for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because we know all that stuff. I'm gonna let Gary come in and start kind of, ask some questions about, stuff that we already know the answer to most of the stuff. But yeah, Gary, what are the stuff that you kind of wondered about, how this all started and, how we went from there?
Well, two things. One, I think the Instagram stopped.
Yeah, it's cool. Because don't worry about Instagram.
The second thing is we got a bunch of echo on here.
Yeah, I've gotten bad echo and a lot of reverb earlier.
Chris, I would check your speakers. Maybe turn it down a little bit.
Turn it up a little bit or down?
Down. Is it still echo?
How's that?
A little bit. It's a little better. Yeah, it sounds like it's coming back in from something.
Did Dan drop out?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm still here. I just muted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on an iPad.
I think the echo's gone. No, it's still there.
Yeah, it might have a little echo, but it's cool. Dan, Dan, your video is gone. I mean, yeah, your video is gone.
It's all good. I just had to walk into the room. I'm back.
Okay, cool. I got you. But yeah, go ahead, Gary. Do your thing.
Well, let's see. Man, that echo is fucking annoying. God damn. I think when I first met y'all.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, because I always forget it, but every now and then I remember, Gary, you were actually if you remember, in middle school, in 6th grade, we played bass in band class, and I think you had like a red, I wouldn't say like a red Gibson or Biscayne or something like that. Um, so you were really the first musician I played with. Because I think you approached me and said something about joining a band, and you asked me to try it out in band class, stuff like that. And yeah, that was really awkward. And then you were like, "That's cool, you're good, you're in the band," or something weird.
Yeah.
You made the cut.
Yeah.
That when Dan was talking about short longs, I remembered that you had a real sweet one in band class. And yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like that band class was you were probably, I think, maybe the first or second person I played with. And that bass actually ended up being the bass that Patrick played in Five Mile Fines.
Yeah, I remember
wow.
that bass.
He actually
Yeah.
never had a bass. He just used mine. So yeah, like I remember I met you. I ended up moving and going to James River High. And I can't remember how I met Dan. Dan, did I meet you through Matt?
Yeah, it was through Matt. Like, I went to middle school with Lang, and he started playing in Golden Llamas, and he and I he and I knew each other in middle school, and he was the other like metal kid that lived near me, and even though he did have a Garth Brooks record, um, I think he was like, I really like that song, "The Thunder Rolls." It's like, I was like, oh no. Anyway, but he started playing he got to know Matt. He started playing with you, and then I started hanging, and then that was the interesting thing, and how I felt like those two bands got connected was the friendship I had with you and Matt and Lang and Patrick, and yeah, I played bass with you all after Patrick passed. But it was just this. I hung out with you all the time too. It was just tons of fun, and that's how you and I met. I think it was through Lang, and then we all just sort of hung. It's just Southside kids. Everyone outside of Southside thought we were trash, so it didn't matter.
Yeah,
Hardcore bands.
Yeah.
Should I go?
What do you say, Gary? No, what do you say? Go ahead.
There were a lot of hardcore bands in Richmond at the time, but there weren't many from Southside. I mean, y'all mentioned earlier BCS, and they were from Southside, right?
They were, yeah. Like Southside definitely was. The kids who were in Southside playing hardcore were more metalheads that had converted, generally speaking, and James River Scratch, all those guys went on to be Municipal Waste, and all guys from Gore, Lamb of God. It was like mostly old metalhead Hesher kids. Then they found out about hardcore from Sound Hole going downtown. Whereas I felt like a lot of kids in the West End, for some reason, just gravitated more toward punk and hardcore. There were probably Heshers there too, but I felt like the stuff on Southside was more. We're just old kind of metalhead redneck kids.
That's because we had disinterment.
Yeah, there was. There was something, I don't know. Maybe that's all in my head, and maybe it's just we were the people who rolled together. I don't know.
No, it's true, but I think like it has to do with like Southside is just kind of like more working class than the West End, I think, and so I think that probably culturally plays into it. I mean, there's definitely like rich places. Like I came from the more wealthier part of Southside or whatever. But there was definitely, I mean, you just drive down the Lothian Turnpike and it's like, you have like auto parts stores and stuff like that. And out in the West End, not so much.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a big difference. I mean, relatively speaking,
But what Okay, sorry.
It was some, it's something interesting. Bree, I was talking to Bree one time, and she was like, we were just talking about a random conversation, and she was like, because Bree, she lived down the street, from me, and it's like a lot of us, even Dan, Ryan, a lot of us. I mean, even Scott, just being around everybody's houses, mostly, but everybody was kind of pretty much like what, maybe a little middle class or upper middle class. Like none of us were in the big huge houses like in Salisbury and nothing like that. You know what I mean? So we were all, we weren't struggling and nothing like that, but we were
Yeah.
all like, you know, I'm talking about in the band. We were all, from the
Yeah.
same class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Relative,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Totally.
and I think that from what Gary's saying, I think that kind of did play in because we were able to relate, I think, on a level of that as well. Because I know me and Ryan's mom worked together. You know what I'm saying? And like, it was very easy for me because I'm gonna keep it real. I've talked to all this baby before, but just going through all the stuff, I just remember being, in Midlothian and stuff. It's like I never. Everybody here, I was always accepted, and a lot of times growing up in Midlothian, I wasn't accepted. You know what I mean? I was like Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even talking about the band. I'm talking about literally like Public Enemy, or just people would be, just nasty and racist, like for no reason. You know what I mean? But I never. These cats here always accepted me as a person. I don't even know if they even saw me as a color. I never, I saw them as a color, just being because of past experience. I was like, all right, let's see if see how they treat me. Let's see where they coming from. But I never once had any issue about. We all just saw each other as friends. You know what I'm saying? And bandmates. You know what I'm saying? We never had once any type of issue. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. Y'all changed my perspective. A bigger thing was I moved to London and I started seeing, other white people that didn't think anything like Americans. Because coming from Midlothian, Virginia, you just think all white people like act like people are from Midlothian, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? But all of y'all gave me a different mindset when it came to the way people should treat each other. And I gotta applaud y'all and thank y'all for that. I know we were young, man. You know what I'm saying? So for us to all be able to just really come together and just do what we did, man, it was, I appreciate that whole experience from the musical on a human level. You know what I mean? All the conversations we have even today and throughout the time. Like I said in the book. So y'all were a big impact, like I said, in my musical career and influence as well.
Well, that was something that you and I talked about a couple of years ago, and you were telling me some of the experiences you had, and I'm like, that blew my mind because I was used to our crew. I was used to my group of friends outside of y'all, which was basically the same kind of people. And like, I never knew that you went through any of that. And it was so bizarre to hear you tell me that you were dealing with that in Midlothian. Cause I'm like, when we were hanging out, everybody we were with, I mean, we were all brothers. I didn't see that side of it. And I guess I was lucky because I was never around any group of friends or lived in any part of Richmond or Southside that I just wasn't exposed to it. I mean, my best friend through middle school and high school was a black guy, and then it was you. I mean, I never knew you were dealing with it, and I never saw it myself.
Yeah, I know we talked recently, Joe, and you shared some of that stuff, and yeah, it surprised me, but it also didn't. I mean, I grew up around definitely racism in my family and all kinds of places, and so when you told me it was, I got it, understood, but I also felt like what surprised me is people who maybe I thought had a higher moral compass were actually shitheads. And so it's like, oh yeah, there's some shitty people. And some of them are people we knew. And so,
and plus we were young. They were young too.
Yeah. But to your point though, I really, I can really relate with what the band did for me personally. It gave me a lot of confidence. didn't have a lot of confidence before playing music with you all. My family was pretty messed up right before, and this gave me sort of confidence that I was good at something. I thought I was a dumb person. I failed the first grade. Um, uh, just struggled. Didn't have a lot of good friends, and the friends I had, all had short longs like me. So I felt like we were all the losers. But playing with this band really gave me a lot of confidence. Like I was good at something, and yeah, I've told you, Joe, you were like an older brother figure to me when I didn't really have that, and a male role model. So like, definitely a lot of that changed my perception of the world and music. I could have gone down the dirt biking, long hair, like short long route. I went the other direction, like punk rock and hardcore and metal, and you guys kind of saved me from that. So I would have
Scott
been
was
one
like
of those
my
dudes.
Scott was like my role model because he was, even though I had other ones like all the cats from
That's
Stuffies, but
sad.
Scott and I Scott and I we used to go. Remember Scott? We used to go to sit down and take
Just
out
stupid
like a
shit.
6-pack of beer. I know this is bad, but we used to take like a 6-pack of beer and just go to the go to
The
what
drive-in.
was that place we used to go to?
We used to go to that
drive-in
drive-in,
movie theater,
man. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
We used to take a 6-pack of beer, just watch movies, drink, watch whatever movies on there, just talk,
It's on
listen
Whole
to
Street,
music,
right?
man.
Yeah,
Huh?
that old drive-in. You remember that time we were getting with that old drive-in a couple times, and I think
Yep.
Lawrence went with us a couple times.
Yep.
And that one
You
night
also-
we were coming back to your house. We had split a 12-pack of Rolling Rock into a fucking roadblock.
Yep.
I thought I was gonna shit my pants, and I think it was a woman cop. She came up to the window and talked to us, and just like waved us on through.
Yep. No, they gave you the, remember they made you do the test, bro.
Did they make me get out?
Hell yeah.
No,
And you
I didn't get a ticket.
Scott didn't drink 6 beers, watched the movie, came back, and then we get pulled over by the cops in a roadblock.
I'll be back in one
Scott
second, guys.
does the whole test and everything. Scott talking about, said, man, that was easy, man. We used to have to stand on one foot and band. What did you say? In band and marching band or something like that.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
was like,
Yeah. All them years of marching band.
Yeah.
that literally happened, man. It was a roadblock. We were sitting there drunk. He made it though.
Yeah, it was a scary night.
Yeah, that was me too. I thought
And then we never stopped either, though. So
yeah, we just kept on doing
went out
it.
the next weekend, did the same thing, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure. And see y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all a secret for the people that don't know this. I'm gonna give y'all an inside the Independent here. Even when y'all saw us on stage and y'all saw us the coolest, illest cats out there, we are some of the goofiest, nerdiest people you ever met in your life. Some of y'all might know this. We literally had, remember we used to, Ryan, Dan, we used to have them Friday night movies. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Alien. Yeah.
We literally used to go and rent from Blockbuster, one of them little crazy shops.
Or Video World. Yeah.
Video World,
off
yeah,
of Whole
yeah.
Street. Yep.
Yeah, Video World. We go rent the worst movies you could possibly imagine on Friday nights, and we just sit down and watch this despicableness. And boy, we picked some wretched movies, man.
Oh, I remember my friend used to work the front door of that Video World, and I would go in there and hang out with her. I was trying to mac on her in high school. And then I would see people from my church go in and buy porn. So it was really nice. It was great. It's like, so good.
That's about right.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, God.
And then there was the Three Stooges.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you all went down a big Three Stooges rabbit hole. I never could get down with the Three Stooges like you all, but I think Joe and Scott were really just, that was half of your jokes for like a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was good.
That and making fun of Bjork.
Yeah, and then Toxic Avenger, of course. But
Yes.
but yeah, man, it was interesting, man, because even Scott. I remember one of the things I remember about this whole thing, like dealing with music, was like Chris, and Gary, I'm gonna let you ask more questions after this, but when I remember pulling up, Chris he had a daggone 2 double basses, about 20 cymbals, You know what I'm saying? And that Joker, man, he could play. You know, Chris wasn't playing, man. Like Chris was still, this was new to me. You know what like playing rock music. I never been a rock band before, so I used to just look at him and play, and I used to be like in all these symbols and all that stuff, and you know what I'm saying. I was just like, I thought he was like, I was like, this is like, and he's young too. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm just like, yo, this is like the baddest dude on drums. You know what I'm saying? Like just like and then Ryan came in and he's playing all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And me and Ryan got off good because back in the day I was a Steelers fan, so he came, with his Steelers hat. I was like, yeah, I like Ryan already, but yeah, man, Chris, man, he just had the double bass. And he was just like, da, 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 da. I was just like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? And we again, you know what I'm saying, the level of technicalism, technicalities, what do you want to say, that we did at such an early age, to me still blows my mind, man. But go ahead, Gary.
One thing I was thinking about was the thing that kind of struck me about y'all, kind of right off the gate is, and it was always great playing shows with y'all because of this. Y'all had such a good energy about you. Like some bands, they kind of get into like the rock star vibe-ish kind of thing, but like, I don't know, like anytime I knew that y'all were going to be playing a show, I knew that two things, like one, there'd be like a lot of good energy there, and two, that you guys would like really fucking bring it. Like looking back, like some of my favorite shows were independent shows, and playing in a band, I think some of my favorite shows that I ever played were shows that we would play with y'all. Because it's like you're offering the crowd this thing, not just one band.
Ryan's back.
But when y'all were going through that, I mean, that had to set you kind of apart. Like, how did you find yourself relating to the bands, the other hardcore bands that were kind of just a little more simple and whatnot? Because the other side of this is y'all had like really amazing lyrics from Joe, whereas most people were kind of singing about straight edge and friends and broken up relationships with friends and all that,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Go
go ahead, Dan. You got it, Dan. Go ahead. I've been talking enough. Go ahead.
That's all good. I mean, I felt like that our band, I felt like we weren't the cool band in some ways. At least that's how I perceived it. Maybe that's just, self-hate or whatever, but I was like, yeah, it's, whatever. Everyone thinks we're the Southside band. Like, I mean, it's kind of like people from Philly, and like everyone from Philly thinks like the world's against them a little bit. So I think there's a little bit of like, oh, we're from Southside. We're not like the cool, hardcore band. But I also had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder of like, well, we can fucking play. And so like, because everyone in like, I didn't think I was great or anything, not saying at all, but I knew Chris, Ryan, Scott, Joe, I knew everyone was like badass. And so that was cool. Was like always feeling like, okay, well, we might not be the cool kids, but we're doing something different. We were listening to Damnation and a bunch of those bands.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like anyone in Richmond was doing that. So I was like, well, what other hardcore band is, at least in Richmond, was doing some of that stuff? That felt good. But I didn't really feel like, as Joe was saying earlier, it was like the last, kind of thing we did was where I felt like, okay, this is kind of like really, I'm proud. I was proud of it before, but like that was something where I was like, okay, this feels different and unique. The first stuff was really was good, but we were like listening to Biohazard. It was very obvious. But the last one felt different. There was something there. The lyrics, like you said, you know. So I was proud of that. But it did always feel a little bit like, I don't know, like maybe we're in the wrong city or something. I don't know. Even though I love Richmond, I just at times I was like, I didn't know if we really fit in 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think a big part of it was we all like had a bit of a different background musically. Because like I came in, I didn't know the punk stuff at all. I knew metal, I knew like ska and reggae, and like my thing was Russian Primus and shit. And you guys introduced me into more of the punk stuff. And the other thing, we never tried to be another band.
Yeah.
You know, we never, we're going to be the baddest punk band. We're going to be the baddest metal band. We're going to sound just like this band or that band. And I think we kind of took all of those different genres and just pulled it together and just did our thing.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, what did we do? We had one or two covers that we ever played. And then it was just all our stuff, which I was pretty proud about that. Because, I mean, so many bands you go see, and especially like early on, and most of their set is just a bunch of cover songs of other bands that they liked. And I think we had the opposite. We had almost all of our stuff, and then we'd play one or two covers.
Yeah.
I think we used to try to play Punishment by Biohazard. I think that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we get to a certain point, then we just we forgot.
Stop.
I didn't know the lyrics, and we didn't know the rest
Yeah.
of it.
We didn't do any covers when.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we never did a cover live ever.
Yeah, we messed around with it and practiced sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to your point, Scott. I mean, you're right. We messed around with it, but all of our when we went live, man, it was all our stuff, you know, and all the way with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think that it was, and you're right, Scott. I think that we were all coming from different things, and you know, because we all see Scott. Like Scott was one of the besides Tea and Cheese. Scott was the first one that told me about the Bad Brains. You know what I'm saying? Back then, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Cheese and Tea, they told me about them, you know, but Scott was like, you got to listen to this. Scott would be like, you listen to this. You got to listen to this. You got to listen to this. You got to listen to this. I mean, just over and over, just new music. I'm like, God damn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even, you know, everybody, Chris would be like, you know, you got to listen to this. I'd be like, yeah. So everybody, for me, filled my musical palette up to be, you know, so diverse when it came to listening to different music, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I think we different bands. I think listening to it now, like I told Joe, listening to the Time Capsule and stuff. Back then, if you listen to it now, you can hear that, you know, like a mixture of hardcore metal. There's like discords in there, intricate but not overly intricate, and so. I don't know. I don't think at the time we were ready. We knew what we were doing, but looking back now, I appreciate what we did back then. The music and what everybody brought to the table differently, you know. So.
Totally. Yeah, I don't think we knew.
Yeah, well, you know, and just the name itself, Independent, like we just off the rip, we kind of knew that we weren't going to be the norm. We weren't going to fit in. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the name says a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Chris, you were going to say something a minute ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, it's funny because, you know, I came in. So I used to listen to like nothing but rap, and then I fell asleep one night watching Yo MTV Raps and woke up. The Headbangers Ball was on, and that was pretty much like the end of it right there. You know, I was just like, what is this? You know, like I think one of the, you know, like I was maybe like 13 or 14, and you know, I'd heard some metal stuff, like, but when I got to see like metal, you know, like Biohazard, Exodus, you know, like all those groups that, you know, I mean, I still listen to a lot of that stuff.
Me too, yeah.
And you know, it was one of those things where, you know, I think I kind of set me down where it's like, you know, you had people that you looked at and you're like, wow, I want to play like him, you know, like, and that's, you know, I never had like, I didn't get my first drum set till I was like 14. So I was still like getting used to playing music, you know, like I didn't, you know, you don't quite understand the beat with the music and stuff. So it like gave me like that, okay, it more or less taught me how to play. I never took lessons or anything. So, so watching, you know, all those, you know, big shots playing drums, you know, and their huge kits.
Your room was set up so cool for that too. You had like 2 or 3, I think you had speakers in the ceiling, and you had like this amazing drum kit right beside your bed. Like your entire room was a drum kit and a bed. That was it.
That was it.
If you wanted to hang out in Chris's room, you had to basically lay on his bed in front of the drum set. It was so cool.
Yeah. It's funny.
I remember
I didn't play it. Like, you know, the older I got, the less drums I had. Like,
yeah,
I'm playing a small kit now.
Yeah, that's what we're all doing. I don't even have an amp. I have guitars. I have an amp coming at some point. I'm mostly right now using Sims, but I remember the first time I keep hearing my echo. It's so weird, but I remember spending the night at your house, and you and I watched Headbangers Ball, and it was right around the time Napalm Death put out a record, and I just remember it was right when Earache was awesome, like Carcass and all that shit was so good, and that was the first time I ever heard, like, really got into Napalm Death. I was overnight at your house. We were like practicing and then watching Headbangers Ball and then practice the next day. Those are like fun memories.
Oh yeah. You know, one of my favorite memories is all of us sitting on the couch at your house watching Three Stooges.
Yeah. I was just talking about it. I was like, Joe and Scott were like obsessed with it. Ryan shaking his head. He's like, I hate that shit.
No way, man.
It was like we literally like were in our own, like, if you really think about it, it's like we were in our own, like, literally like our own universe. Like nothing else mattered outside of what we were doing. You know, you know what I mean? Like we didn't care what people really thought about us. We didn't, you know, we always, no matter what's happening out there, we always came back, and you know, and we worked hard, man. You know, we'd be like, yo, we got practice so and so, and you know, we would. You know, we were good. We were good at that. We were like, yo, we got practice on so and so. We showed up, we practiced, we did our thing. Yo, we got a show. You know, we were like very disciplined, actually. You know, and organized for, you know, being teenagers.
Yeah.
I found
the only thing that we didn't have was we didn't have any knowledge of, like, you know, how to like get in other than, hey, let's get a show at Twisters or let's get a show at St. Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, people always ask me, like, especially after Time Capsule, if we have that out and like later on, people are like, man, y'all should have got signed. Yo, good, all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, yo, if me, Dan, Ryan, and Chris, or, you know, or Mark, whoever hit the road with that stuff, man, the world would have tore our ass up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The world would have tore us ass and split us out, because, you know, we were young and inexperienced, man. And you really have to be realistic and factor, you know, where you are in life, just dealing with maturity. You know what I'm saying? You know, none of us really traveled, you know, a ton. You know what I mean? You know, we were young, man, and we were in our own, you know, thing, but we never really, none of us really experienced like the big world till later on, you know.
Yeah, I just emailed y'all a picture of actually that time from, I can't share it here for some reason, it won't let me share, but I just emailed you all a picture from that time. It's kind of sums some of it up.
You know, it's funny. One of the things, like my dad, you know, I mean, my dad, you know, plays guitar and, you know, like, you know, dabbles, plays piano and stuff. He's big into music and stuff, and loved, like, you know, oldies, Motown, you know, like that whole era. One of the things, like, he I think it was like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. We kind of had a falling out. I hadn't talked to him for about 5 years, and 5 or 6 years or something. And then we got back, you know, where we're talking again. One of the things my dad said was, he asked me, what was the name of the band that you played in? Fist to something. And I said, Fist to the Face? He said, you know what? If you guys would have stuck it out, you'd be living in a mansion right now. You know, and I was really shocked to hear that, you know, because I mean, like, you know, he doesn't know anything about metal or, you know, like what we were playing and what we were doing, but he was, you know, he told me that, and I was like, man, it's kind of crazy, like, that we left that kind of a mark on him, you know, somebody who's not even into that he recognized, you know. And it wasn't because I was his kid. He was saying it because he was always that, you know, wow, you guys don't sound like a bunch of teenagers. So I thought that was cool to hear, you know. It was like kind of that reaffirming that, you know, those years weren't like a waste of time of my life and stuff, you know. It was like that, you know, it wasn't just me like being selfish and having a good time. He said that was like, you know, those are like pivotal points in your life where, you know, music and, you know, having experiences. And, you know, he said, you know, you toured with a lot of bands, you guys should tour. And I was like, man, that meant a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, I think I was talking to Dan one time, and like I remember listening to Time Capsule, and I can't remember what song it is. I think it might have been Meditations, if I'm not mistaken. But is that the one when you had the acoustic guitar in it, Dan?
I think so.
In it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And stuff like that. I mean, Dan used to, especially that album, he had 2 guitar tracks. He'd be doubling up and all this kind of stuff. And see, for somebody that doesn't really see all that stuff live and to go in the studio and see how records are done, that was, for me, that was huge. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like looking at this stuff, I'm like, oh, this is what I've been hearing these albums before, and that's how they did it. You know what I mean? So just like Chris was saying, all that experience that we had right there doing all this stuff, it's like I'm amazed that we were able to do all that stuff at an early age, man. Like just the every aspect of, man, again, the music, because I still listen to, my wife loves Time Capsule, and she knows about it. She's like, we'll be driving, so put in your music. Just say, you know what I'm saying? And just we were cruising. She said, I can't remember what her favorite song is, but yeah, man, a lot of folks that know rock, that when I came to Atlanta, I would, that would actually, the Time Capsule was kind of like my resume, believe it or not. When I moved to Atlanta, as far as dealing with other bands, like, yeah, I played, man. Here, you listen to this. They're like, damn, that's y'all, that's your band. I was like, yeah, shit, let's rock. So, musically, it might, people might not like some of us for personal reasons, but I know we did, like Dan said, we got a lot of respect from a lot of people that were musicians. You know what I mean? I know that, people came up, even to today, still, they're like, man, I loved y'all stuff, man. Especially Gary, man. Gary told me, he was like, one of the reasons, because I guess Gary, for a while, Gary was saying that the music, he was thinking about kind of like closing out a label. And one of his homeboys was like, yo, one of the main reasons I want this joint to start back up is because I can't get the Independent album on streaming no more. Is it one stuff like that, Gary? Am I right?
Yep. And it's weird, like, I think a lot of the music that we grew up with, you kind of take for granted. And over the years, I realized that there were certain things that kind of shaped me that I didn't realize were as important. Like one band that would be a great example would be like Uphill Down. Like that was something that was so constant during those years that it kind of embedded itself into my expectation of reality, Another one was you guys. And it's weird because y'all never released the Time Capsule thing when y'all were a band, right?
We just did like we did. Like it's like Chris was saying, we ain't know nothing. All we did is made tapes,
By
put
release.
demos at sound hole. That's it.
Yeah, by release, it's like sat on a table and sound in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, that's the thing is like from hanging out with you, Dan, I don't know if I ever had a copy of it, but I knew all the songs just from riding with you.
Yeah, like I think it was weird, and this happened to me a few times where you kind of that was toward the end of the band. We spent a lot of time on it. We spent what we thought was a lot of money on it, which I think was $1,600. I think it took us probably like a year or two to pay Mark Miley.
Right.
So
always going back handing the money like every time we got paid. Here's $100.
Yeah, I remember you would say like every time you give Mark a little bit of money, be like, "Thank you, I appreciate it." Like we paid him, we paid all of it, but like,
and beer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but I think we made that record, and then we played a few more shows, and it kind of fell apart. So that record kind of just was almost something for us. Which I never even thought about the fact we really never put it out. But like we played some shows here and there, we sold the tape, but yeah, I would play it with you. I remember I had a version of the tape with no vocals on it, and Bonnie and I rode to DC to go look at the art museum. It's very like high school, like let's go look at the art museums. And so, what the hell else do you do? There's no internet. So just drive to DC and look at the art museum. And then we put vocals on it. And that's probably like I'd play it for my good friends. Like that's when Gary and I would hang out every night. So like he was living in Jackson Ward, just like 96. It was like you and Larry Floyd basically lived on a block. And that's when Jackson Ward was still a little dicey before he got all gentrified. You all were like camping out there. It was, I used to go hang with you guys, and I'd walk to Rite Aid. I'd get a Cadbury's chocolate. I get a Cadbury's chocolate bar and a Coke. Or I'd get 7-Eleven nachos where I just filled a whole bun up with cheese, and I'd hang out with you while you recorded. And you were talking about the recording thing, Joe. Like part of how I could have learned about a lot of that stuff was from Gary. Like that and watching Metallica Year in the Life of videos where they were recording with Bob Rock. I was like, oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, there's another guitar. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, that explains. They didn't do this live. And then I started getting interested in that stuff. Hung out with Gary, and then I interned at Sound of Music. So Gary was like the first person I knew actually learned how to be an engineer. So I just wanted to hang out with him and watch him record. I just thought it was cool.
Something that I have to say, it's like there was 2 live. Actually, Patrick as well. He would go up and down on the fret, with the bass. But and I think it's a lot, and I think it was a lot. My cat is in the scene now, so I don't know if y'all see that, but she just jumped on my lap. But listen to Ryan playing bass, because Ryan was one of the few cats besides T that I would hang out with that had a funky style to him, or like a funky influences. Like he used to listen. He used to send me. He was one of the cats that used to listen a lot of Fishbone. Like Chris as well. He was the cat that used to listen to like Suicidal. And the funky stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I just remember in growing all this and sitting back and listening to Ryan's bass lines, and I used to be like, he's just not following the guitar. You know what I'm
No,
saying? So
not at
as a
all.
young person still growing when it comes musically, I was like, damn, a bass line doesn't have to go exactly with the guitar. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And
Mhm.
that was Ryan, playing with Ryan was the first time I really realized how much a bass player could do. You know what I'm saying? Because that was just he would sit in the pocket, man, and he would just be like, he'd be going all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean? I was just like, damn, and just to see that and learn, and what I'm saying? It's different when you hear it. But once you sit down and Dan will put a riff down, and then Ryan will come up with his own bass line on top of it. You know what I'm saying? That, like I said, he's not playing along with the guitar. You know, you learn from that, man. That I learned a lot. You know what I'm saying? Just musically by sitting down and just watching y'all write, man. I learned. I'm telling you, man, y'all. I produced. I produced music, some of my music, on literally influenced by from the stuff I learned with us, man. So Ryan, man, I got to give you props, man, because I know we talk about it, we talk about Chris and everything. I got to give you props, man, because you easily still today one of the best bass players I played with.
Dude, well, that's one thing. Like I've always, I've played in a lot of bands. Like I know Dan's played in a lot of bands. I think all of us have played in a lot of bands. But you know, what did you have? 5-string, Ryan,
Yeah,
or was it 6-string?
I think I had 5-string at the time.
Yeah, but but the way you played it, like, I still to this day have always, I've never played with another bass player that played like you, like, you know, to have a rhythm section that, kind of like you had like kind of a Corn meets, I don't know what I could compare it to, but like, I mean, you listen to like old Corn, like,
Yeah, I can see that.
He
Well, that was
phenomenal
like
bass player.
that was one of the first times I played with y'all. We took a break, and I remember like went to the bathroom, went downstairs, whatever, and Ryan was just standing up there hanging out playing with the bass, and he threw down some nasty fucking funk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I just turned around and jumped on the set. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, you remember me and Ryan were always just jamming when y'all would take a break because that was more my side of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't, like I said, I came up with Police and Primus, and I was just all into like just sick, thick funk, nasty stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was, and Ryan's the one that got me. I had never heard of Infectious Grooves.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Suicidal, but I had no clue about Infectious Grooves, and he played it for me one day. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
remember one
say,
time me and Ryan were at Kmart, and Ryan, we just walking around, just walking around. We went to the magazine section, and he just picked up Bass Player magazine, and I think actually funny, I think it's the Chim Chim Badass Revenge just came out,
Yeah.
and Ryan just looked through the magazine. He's looking through the magazine, and he's like, "Oh, they gave Norwood a B+ on that album," and and like, see, I'm not a bass player, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And like, I remember he used to come over my house, and I'd have all this music and stuff. And Ryan's, he kind of soft spoken, so like, he chooses his word or his actions wisely, So I remember I'd be like, listen to different music, and he just put in certain CDs that he already heard of and knew, and he just politely put on a track that he liked, you know what I'm saying, of the album, you know what I mean, and just play it. And he was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like he had this very extensive catalog of music, you know what I'm saying? Just like all y'all did, but Ryan didn't say much, but if you if you pull it out of him, you'll see that he had a lot of musical knowledge, man. A lot of
Yeah.
diverse music. It makes sense why your bass style is that way because you know truth is that we were all, even me when it came to lyrics, we were all students of music. Every single one of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, studious. You know.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's funny you were talking about the Bass Player magazine. Ryan used to crack me up a lot, and one thing I remember him talking about Bass Player magazine. Like, and it's funny you brought up the report cards. He was like, Bass Player magazine just gave Duff McKagan a D minus. It was just. I remember him just talking about
I
how
remember.
awful of a bass player. Yeah, you cracked me up.
Yeah.
But to Joe's point, like, yeah, Ryan is still the best bass player I've ever played with. Like, just um, his finger is a pick. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
it's like Robert Trujillo. Like, definitely, like it's thunderous. It's like I remember that was like really impressive to me because I was a big Cliff Burton fan, and so it's like I used to judge bass players like it's like, oh, they use their fingers like Cliff Burton. Like, no disrespect to Jason Newsted, but it was like, yeah, he's just. And I have a much different feeling now because I think playing with a pick can be great for a certain kind of sound, but I mean,
Yeah.
to play with that much power with your finger is
Mhm.
something really amazing that Ryan can do.
Oh, dude. So when we were at Plunkett's, we were playing. We were practicing for the St. Edward's reunion thing,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and I looked next to me. He's got a pick in his hand, and I was kind of like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah. I know. I tried to pick. I'm trying to play with both now, and I still can't get it down. Playing with a pick is hard for some reason to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. It just come naturally. So, but I remember Dan, you used to tease me about having my own. I don't know if it was like bass strings or something, and you
Yeah.
said be a bass player magazine, and it would say something like "Step into the shade."
Yeah. 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 This was back in our middle school. This is so I got you with the story about, leave them alone, they're only curious. Like, yes. I used to draw pictures of ads. It'd be like I draw like pictures of Lars Ulrich sitting in front of a Tama drum set, or I think I did one that was like a tribute to Cliff Burton. It was like Cliff Burton, and there's lighting in the background. It's like he will always be remembered. Some redneck tattoo, but yeah, I definitely it's like step into the shade. It'd be like you leaning against like a heart key bass amp or some crappy stack or something.
Oh, go ahead, Gary. I know you about to say something. Go ahead.
Not to take away from Ryan, but the thing that kind of like, oh shit, Dan just popped out.
No, he's here.
The thing that kind of took me about y'all was how developed your music was. The demo, the first record, not so much. It was kind of like a normal hardcore record. But when y'all started doing the time capsule thing, and this was me witnessing it kind of from being friends with Dan, and he would bring in these riffs, that he'd just be kind of like telling me about them or whatever, playing me little bits of them. And he'd play me like 8 or 9 riffs. Be like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's like 8 or 9 songs, and Dan would be like, no, that's one fucking song.
That's a song.
and it would blow my mind at how many parts, good parts, with huge changes, Dan would put into one song.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like one of the first people that I encountered that did that or could do that. He was a big riff guy, like a big appreciator of the riff
Mm-hmm.
But more than that, he had this like composer quality to him.
Mm-hmm.
That I mean, when I put my own music against, I just feel like, man, I'm just playing 3 chords the whole time, like. And Dan's like doing these fucking epic opuses where they like, oh no, this is where the song really gets crazy, you know. But that's the thing I really love about Time Capsule is it seemed to pull on all y'all's strengths in a way that really let him shine. And it kind of tapped into the fact that y'all were able to kind of really cultivate your own band culture per se, and do your own thing so well.
Well, question: Who played drums on that?
I think it was Chris.
Yeah, I thought you did, Chris. Yeah, because Ryan, remember you said you texted me earlier that Mark did, but no, I was like, I specifically remember I switched because if you listen to it, I could hear it's Chris. When you say, I got confused for a second. I was like, wait a minute, I had to go back in my mind, but that album has Chris, his style written all over it. You know, like the double bass, the hi-hat plays, the splash cymbals. You know, it kind of threw me off when we were talking about that, but I had to go back and kind of time to be like, damn, because I remember Chris playing, so it kind of threw me off when you said that. But yeah, and then Scott played drums on the demo, and then those other little like Choking on a Noose and those other songs he played. He played.
We did that first, I don't know, 3 or 5 song demo that we just did with a little studio recorder in Dan's bedroom. And then we did the full length first album that we did at Adam Hart. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Let's go listen to it now.
Let's go listen to it now.
Yeah, you know, it's weird because when we had Ben Gabi, we were, you know, we played like, you know, a couple little shows. And then I left and joined Uphill Down.
Yep.
And then left Uphill Down because it's just it just seemed inconsistent. As far as us playing, and so I was like, okay, well, you know, then I rejoined you guys, and that's when, you know, I met Ryan and everything just kind of came together, and you know, I loved it.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's not.
But you went on it. You did what? Halo 4, and who else did you do? You did somebody else.
I did Halo 4, like kind of like the last run of Halo 4, and then me and like Lagan and everybody, we formed. Did I do
Cast Aside?
No, I did. We did Dead Serious.
Yeah.
Dead Serious.
Dead
Serious. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then we went from Dead Serious to Cast Aside, and then after that, I did this thrash metal band called Dead Rain, and you know, that was the closest I could say to as much fun as I had playing with you guys. I mean, the music was like technical, like really good thrash, and like bass player, you know, he was really good. Guitarist was really good, you know. And we had like that same vibe that we all had, but
right.
But you know, I was always missing something, you know, and it was fun getting to, you know, do the reunion with you guys, because it was like kind of like brings me back, you know. And I was like, man,
that was fun.
If we could do this now.
Yeah, that was, and thanks Gary for setting that all up, man, and thanks y'all for, you know, thanks y'all for you know, thanks for setting it up, and thank you for advocating for us to be able to play it. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I know we had to kind of we thought about trying to do the whole set, but Dan's in Nashville, so we couldn't do it. So
Yeah,
Gary
that
kind
would
of
have
set it
been
up to
dope.
where,
I
man,
mean
that man,
since we did that show, we've gotten folks, mentioning like, oh, we should do it again. And whenever I asked like what bands would it be, it's like, I mean, some of them are stupid requests. They're like, Avail. It's like, they never fucking played St. Edwards, dude. Like,
They did it?
I'll see if you can go watch them at Browns Island. But of serious ones, it's like, y'all, Disinterment. I mean, those are like the two biggest.
Yeah.
Outside of like some other person being like Inquisition, I'm like, I don't think they played St. Edwards either.
They were too big.
So
maybe
Avail
once.
played like 2 times at St. Edwards.
Did they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember seeing them. That was the first time I ever saw them, was at St. Edwards. It was like
Really?
like
I remember-
like 2-week notice show. And actually they played with Inquisition.
I remember
Holy
Inquisition did play once. I remember
Inquisition.
being good.
Interesting.
Which is so weird.
I didn't know that. Damn.
Me neither.
Yeah, it was God, I can't remember who else played that show, but yeah.
That St. Edward shows, one of the first shows we played after, I guess we put out the first demo, and I still today remember how people were like, they were mouthing, the lyrics that I put, and I was just like, it threw me off. I'm sitting there going live, people know the words that I'm saying. I'm just like, that freaked me out. I'm like, people are listening what I'm saying. Saying it was all new to me. So, it was just like, like that was honestly an amazing feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like people actually taking the time to listen to your words, and like, that was my, that was really when I really started understanding, that I was saying something, I guess, worthwhile to at least somebody to memorize it,
Yeah.
Also, and I wonder if y'all had this same thing happen too, but the thing about St. Edwards for me was, before I played a show there, my idea of being useful in music was, you had to go like take the Megadeth route, get signed, go on tour to Europe. And when I saw that like we could play St. Edwards, and I saw bands like BCS like selling a demo tape, I was like, oh shit, I can do this next week. Like I can actually just like get my music in kids' heads like next week. Like that's all I have to do is just show up and like have a tape, and like that was kind of transformative because it changed the timetable of like, oh, maybe when I'm 20, I'll be able to like, play in a band or, whatever ideas of growing up you have when you're like 16 or 15 or 14. But it turned into something that was like, oh shit, I have like value right now that like I can share with folks.
I think I remember us all being kind of mind blown when we did the one we recorded at Adam Hart, and he got the little write up, and I don't even remember what it was, like some metal zine.
Maximum Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember we got people like in the Middle East or in France, like wanting a demo tape, and we were like, what?
Yeah.
You're right.
I remember that. I remember that I had bought a Maximum Rock and Roll, and Gigi Allen had just died, and he was on the cover in his casket. And it was like either that issue or a few issues later, I saw that. And yeah, to your point, Scott, it was like, wow, that's awesome. That felt like the first big thing ever.
Yeah, I agree.
And you think that was like completely pre-computer, pre-internet? I mean, that was just a freaking metal rag.
Yeah.
I just randomly, because I used to see it all the time at Soundhole. I just sent them a demo, man. I used to do that a lot, man. I used to send them to record labels and stuff. I didn't, I didn't know, I just wanted to put out. I just sent it to Maximum Rock and Roll, man. I actually got reviewed. I think we got reviewed a couple times, in different places, but that was definitely our biggest. Because like Scott said, man, people were hitting us all over the place, and the other bands wanted to play with us. It was like, and like you were saying, this was way before the internet, so you had to put that work in. You know what I'm saying, to get exposure.
You remember when we went to that Deftones show in Charlottesville?
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Give that demo to Chino.
yeah. On the tour bus.
I remember that was hilarious. So like the whole way do you remember the way that whole thing went down?
Yes,
So
I do.
like it was really funny. So like Chelsea had delivered a pizza to the A&R guy from Maverick Records. He was at B103 or whatever radio station was in Richmond at the time. And he, A&R guy was like, how can I repay you? Like whatever kind of cocky A&R guy thing. And she was like, give me tickets to the Deftones. And he was like, okay. And so he got us. I mean, we didn't have tickets handed to us. We just knew, like, apparently we're on the guest list. So we went up there, went to the show. The A&R guy was true on his word. Was like, yeah, just we had free tickets. We were on the guest list. And then I think he had told us, like, yeah, go to the bus afterwards or something. So we went to the bus. It was like, tell him Rick sent you, or whatever the A&R guy's name was. And Chelsea kind of goes to the manager in the bus, like knocks on it. He comes out, just like, yeah, Rick Kahula Hule or whatever was like, yeah, you can talk to the Deftones. So he was like, you could see the fear in this A&R guy's face. Like, oh God, okay, yeah, sure, okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So he goes back in the bus to like tell the Deftones, like, get your act together. This is Rick's friends or whatever. So we all saunter in there, and they're like, hey, like super nice. Up and at them. This is after they played a whole show. Like, yeah, like, you guys want to drink? You want to talk? And I think, we gave them a tape or something, whatever. And then the manager goes, so how do you know Rick? And Chelsea's like, I delivered a pizza to him. And they all cracked up, and we all were like, okay, we're supposed to leave now. So we just left. We drove back to Richmond.
Exit stage right.
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
Wow.
They you could see like the tension kind of go down, like, oh, we don't have to be nice to these assholes.
Yeah, because it was the manager. Remember, it was their manager, the tour manager.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was all like, yeah, Dan's right. He was all like, hey, and then he delivered the pizza that I had. Wah, 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 wah. You know what I'm saying? Nice seeing you guys.
Hilarious.
That's a hell of a pizza tip.
Yeah, I mean, good on her. She got us into the show. We got to see the show.
Thanks, Chelsea. You see this? Thanks.
Yes, it was funny.
Yeah, we actually, and even because of our, I guess, our style, or just that we were consistent. What was his name, man? The dude who used to always give us the gigs. The dude that died, man. What? Jerry, right?
Jerry.
Rest
Jerry
in peace,
Bird.
Yeah.
He would always give us the good gigs, man. When like Madball would come through, yeah, y'all want to play?
Yeah.
That's
because he couldn't.
Go ahead.
He couldn't pay us, so he would always give us gigs instead of. So,
Yeah,
he never paid us.
we never got paid.
It'd always be like, dude, I'm sorry, but I've got the show with Stuck Mojo next week.
Yeah.
I didn't know he passed away. That's too bad. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like a couple years ago.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, man. But it was still cool because man, there's a lot of stories. Hey, man, I learned so much just from those stories because, like, I remember we were sitting in the back of Twisters, and we were hanging out. I think it was Ryan. I think it was Ryan. It might have been more. I can't remember what it was, but we were sitting in the back of Twisters. We were hanging out with Hoya and Freddie, from Madball, and we were just talking to them and asking questions and stuff. And I remember Hoya said to me, he was like, "Oh, we talking about money and stuff." And granted, Madball, when they showed up, they all drove their own cars from New York on tour. So they didn't have a tour bus. And since the show was so close to Richmond, they just got on their separate cars, like two or three, I think it was two or three cars. They just drove down to Richmond and do the show and went back home or whatever shows they did. But I just remember talking to Hoya and we were just talking about money and, how much they make and Madball and stuff. He was just like, yo, I just wish that I had $1 that the record label gave us. He said I would put it on a wall to show, what I'm saying, accomplishments for all this work we done. You know what I'm saying? He was, they only got pretty much, he was breaking it down that they only really got paid for them shows, man. You know what I'm saying? And man, I'm thinking like Madball, they making nice money. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man, that was a big reality check for me.
What is it, like 20, almost 20 years later? Now they're making nice money?
Yeah.
They're doing all right now.
Yeah, they're doing good now. Yep. Yeah. Ryan said it right. All right, man. Because I see some of these because I'll put different. I've talked to booking agents, booking different bands, and doing different things, and you'd be very surprised what some of these bands get paid for guarantees, man. Like, obviously the bigger bands, that's a whole different story. But like bands that, a lot of us even today admire, you'd be really surprised how much some of these people get paid shows, man. You'd be like, hey, how the hell do y'all live off this?
Well, the crazy thing is when I've talked to like folks that are in the hip hop arena, they get fucking paid.
Oh yeah.
Like kind of from the get go. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a devaluation or an expectation in rock, punk, metal and stuff to pay people less. But in the rap world, no, you're getting fucking paid. It's kind of a culture shock.
It is a big
that's
difference.
Because that, like the sellability of that hip hop and just the fashion marketability of it. Because I know some really terrible hip hop, and you're just like, how is this guy big?
Right. Well, it's also the ticket prices. It's more culturally acceptable to like in the hip hop world to pay like $40 for a show. Whereas if you did that at a punk thing, there'd be a fucking riot and
I'm paying $5 and that's it.
Yeah, there's also like the stigma of like maybe it's just guilt or something, but people are like, yeah, I can't charge people that, and hip hop's like, fuck that.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of. I think it's also like a lot of low self worth, or I mean, I don't know. Like the thing about punk is most people that I've interacted with in it, they had some issues growing up. Maybe it was a family, maybe it was just their own adjustment to the world with depression or something like that. But you kind of end up getting othered in some way, and I think that plays nicely into being like, yeah, I'll only charge $5.
Yeah.
But there's also
$5 has not been $5 has not been adjusted for inflation at all either. Like it's $5 has been a price since like 1990, and it's still 30 years later. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, like, Dan was on the road, with, for a hot minute, and getting guarantees and stuff like that. He knows, a lot. He knows a lot how this stuff goes. And I remember I was doing doing some shows for Afropunk before they got sold to Essence magazine, and we played 2 shows in New York. Actually, Dan and his future wife, we met up there in New York. I think he was living up there at the time. But I just remembered, like, we got $150 for 2 shows. It was each. But, a lot of those bands that even went on tour, like, that their guarantee was $150 a night, man. That's it. Riding all the way across, the country. all
Yeah.
those opening bands, like for Afro punk, starting off, they were getting $150 a night, man. 4 or 5 people in the band.
Yeah. I remember
You
our
know?
guarantee was not very high when I was in Scarlet and we were touring. Like we didn't have a very high guarantee because we were opening or playing second, and our per diem, each person in the band was like Rashad, and then 5 of us, and each one of us would get $5 for the
Yeah.
day to eat off of. And
That sounds about right.
I remember the next door were like promotion, y'all $6. So it's like okay, at Wendy's I could get 3 items for lunch and then maybe 2 items for dinner, and then hopefully like the club would give you some pizza and something,
Yeah.
and then whoever at the club would be like, you could sleep at our house or you'd sleep in the van. One time we stayed at this place, it might have been I think it was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and really good show. But then that night we stayed, it's either Lancaster or Cleveland, I can't remember. This girl let all 4 bands stay in our house. So it was like Evergreen Terrace, Remembering Never, us, some other band, I can't remember. And she's like, okay, only catch is my roommate's been out of town for like 3 weeks and she just let her gerbil run free. So there was just gerbil shit all over the house. So the whole house was covered in gerbil shit. And it was one of those situations where it's like, it is 100 degrees outside and I'm going to sleep in the van because I am not. So yeah, like that was, those were the funny things about being on the road is just the shittiest situations where you just have, sleeping in weird houses. But that was also the fun of it. Like those are the funniest things you can remember of just, disgusting places you slept.
It's interesting because like on another note, like I watched this documentary on Green Day, right? And all the stories that like we're talking about right now, man, they had tons of these stories. Them jokers did a do-it-yourself, what I'm saying, world tour when they first started.
Oh
When
yeah.
they first started, really, it was after like they did Smooth Out Sloppy Hours and stuff like that. But you know, but they did a do-it-yourself. They were playing, in front of 8 people here. They were sleeping on the floor. They said
Yeah.
Billy Joe got lice, when on that tour because it was just the grubbiest thing. But just to see, as we all know, Green Day back then, and to see them progress from like Smooth Out Sloppy Ever to Kerplunk, and then just pressing play and hearing Dookie, hearing the sound quality, hearing
Yeah.
everything just jump to the next level, and I felt so. I wasn't all that they sold out. I was like, good. You know what I'm saying? Y'all put all that hard work in. Good, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all deserve what you get. I never looked at them as sellouts. I was just like, y'all, because if you ask me, they were still one of the best. This person, I think, still one of the best pop punk bands that
Oh yeah.
that I've heard. Me personally, um, and it's like y'all deserve to be rock stars, man. Y'all put that work in.
I'll tell you what, that whole like term sellout.
Mm-hmm.
So like the way the thing is so like I think I don't really think of it as as you're like really selling out. I think it's like the nostalgia the first time you hear a band, right? Like you hear something, it's like, oh my gosh, that's like that pinnacle point of where you became a punk rocker or something,
Mm.
or or a metalhead, and then like, you know, 5 years down the line, they make it big. They're gradually making it big. Their sounds changing, their music's changing and stuff. It's not that they're selling out. They're just trying to like not keep repeating themselves.
Yeah.
And that
Exactly.
happens to every band. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at Fishbone. They've been around
Mm-hmm.
for ever, still playing. You know what I mean? You listen to like Reality of My Surroundings. Phenomenal album.
Mm-hmm.
And then
One of my favorites.
um, Give a Monkey a Brain. It's like, oh, those albums are like phenomenal. And you listen to what they're putting out now, and no, it doesn't even like sound anything close to what you were listening
Mm-hmm.
to back then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they've been like, no, they sold out. They're not playing that same stuff. Well, they've been through a buttload of member changes, and half of them are like almost 60 years old right now.
Yeah, I know. That's real talk.
I think a lot of it too is when you got a band that's been around that long, you get to a point where you've just run out of you hit a limit of coming up with something new that's tight. It's got the variation. It's got the original sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had a music theory teacher, and I don't remember now, but he was talking about there are only so many scale or so many chords that you can come up with on a scale. And he said that it's been proven that like every song had been written by like 1750. And all we've done since then is just rearrange the chords, add different sound effects and stuff like that. And that's what I've seen with a lot of the bands that I really like, that they were musically technical in their early to mid years. And then as they got older, the music kind of got simplified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I was playing guitar for a while. I played for a couple bands, and it's funny when you're writing riffs, right? You're writing all these riffs. Then you're like, man, this is a banger, and you're like, you write this riff and you're like so stoked on it. And you may have like even completed the song with everybody, and then all of a sudden like you're just listening to just some random music, and that song comes on, and you're like, man, I haven't listened to that song in like almost like 5 years. And I didn't even like it that much then, but, you changed like something in it. And so now you're like, oh, this song's awesome. I'm writing this song. And plus the fact that you're writing it, even though you're just regurgitating it from something you heard like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that song, perfect example. I think With or Without You, the U2 bass line. I mean, punk bands use that bass line, the same exact one. Like one of the Blink 182s, if I'm not mistaken, is like a same exact bass line. It's just, it's just they did it differently.
Yeah, I mean, even before that, I mean, it's kind of like a blues thing.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, all of Led Zeppelin is ripped off of Lead Belly and a ton of other dudes.
Yeah, my last podcast, y'all ever get a chance to listen to it? We actually could talk about that because one of my guys that really introduced me a lot of stuff down in Atlanta, he's a big blues head. Like he's a manager from one of what's his name? Not Robert Bell. He's one of the something Bell. I can't remember his name, but he's like a big time blues head. And he was just going in like on the technical side of like, blues, country, Americana, rock, you know what I'm saying? And we were actually talking about y'all want to check it out, it's pretty interesting. We were talking about Metallica a lot because we were just talking about how they just their technicality and the musicianship behind what they were doing. But we were just saying, yeah, man, it's just blues sped up and amplified, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is, man. It's blues, man. Rock and roll's blues, man.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, all those British guys started getting old chess records.
Yeah.
Stuff sent over to them in England, and they started listening to it, and they just it's just basically it's Howlin' Wolf and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
If you listen to how CCR started, basically what John Fogerty said is, I wanted to sound like Howlin' Wolf. I was trying to make my voice big and raw like his, which is really cool. I never knew that until it made sense. Like, if you listen to John Fogerty sing, and it's totally trying to channel that.
Yeah. Janis Joplin too. The list goes on, man. The list goes on. Like, it to me, it's just interesting because I guess it really hit me hard one time. I was sitting there, and when I was in Atlanta, I was just sitting there at my house, and I was putting a shelf up, and I had y'all remember that Jimi Hendrix album, but it's almost all blues album. It has like on the front cover, it's like a whole bunch of pictures and stuff that makes his face, but it's pretty much just a blues record. You know what I'm saying? He's just playing blues, and I'm listening to it, and back then, it was years ago, but that's when it hit me really, like how his progression just from blues and just went to rock, and how what he did with that rock went to metal. You know what I'm saying? It really, I saw the connection there. You know what I mean? I was able to tie it together and be like, oh, now that's what now I hear Metallica in that. I hear Megadeth in that. You know what I'm saying? As a musician, I guess once you start to just see the technicality of it all, how it works, it's like you can break it down a little bit easier that way.
Well, I think with Hendrix, it was like he kind of worked two circuits, and one was the blues circuit. So that's like a viability of income. And then he'd work like the pop circuits as a viability of income. And the thing that was kind of crazy about him is, when he went over to England, these guys were worshiping the blues thing, but he didn't want to play that. He wanted to play almost like the way a band would be like, a cover band, try to sneak in their own songs. Like, that's kind of like, from looking back at that stuff, the way I think he was kind of treated is like people like Clapton and all that would look at him and be like, oh my God, like, you're an amazing blues guitarist. He's like, fuck that, I want to play this crazy shit. Whereas those guys are kind of trying to emulate it. But
it was old to him, man. He saw that, doing the Chitlin, like you said, doing the Chitlin circuit and all that kind of stuff. That was old. That was old news to him.
Well, it was real to him.
Yeah,
like it
exactly.
wasn't. It was like what he did last weekend.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
something he read about. Yeah, but
Well, I got a question, man. I got a question for everybody. Today, like compared to like we were growing up and stuff, even with hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Are y'all motivated by any new stuff today?
What do you mean by new stuff?
Any new bands that might come out? Even if it's new stuff from older bands, like has there been music that's been made recently that y'all have been really liked, have been motivated with by, like, saying, man, this sounds good. I need to go, write me a song or anything like that.
There's some metal. Go ahead, Chris. I think you had something.
I don't think anything like metal really. Like I could say new to me stuff. I'll hear some metal every once in a while that like I've gotten into listening to like a lot of like those bands like Modern Day Babylon and bands that have like no lyrics, just I got into that because it's like I want something heavy playing, while I'm teaching jiu-jitsu, and like at the same time like no lyrics, so it's like you don't have like you're in the middle of teaching and you got like 12-year-olds and families like out to the side hearing F-bombs and everything, so I can still have something heavy, but I don't but I'll hear stuff with a lot of those bands that kind of like get me going, like like Arch Echo, a lot of those bands, like I don't know if any of you guys like listen to any of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's just all like instrumental, but like really well put together. Like a lot of the bands are like from like Sweden and stuff. Really like tech metal type stuff. But that stuff like kind of I like a lot of that, but I don't know. I listen to like a ton of reggae now, and just I guess a little bit in my old age, a little bit that gives you a little bit more softer, laid back. Especially having a daughter, you can't be just blasting stuff that she wants to listen to, like so it's kind of like finding that happy medium where we can both listen to it.
Yeah, my angry. I still love rock and everything like that, but definitely the angry aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely obviously what it used to be, and I still love to listen to rock, just but I've definitely chilled out as well. When it comes to my musical taste, and actually I reggae was a really big deal for me as well. Real big in the reggae. Still good hip hop. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm an old head when it comes to music, man. I like to go back to memory lane and listen to old good music, man. So especially
Yeah.
soul music, man. Like that's still my like. I listen to some of them, some of the people like Otis Red, like all that music back then. It like I can't even call a lot of music today music when I hear that type of music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a whole, uh, you know, it's like a joke compared to like listening to that stuff back then.
Yeah.
Well, I see. That's the thing. I like a lot of that music where it's like you
Mm-hmm.
listen to the whole band and you're like, man, every
Mm-hmm.
aspect of that group, like listen to like Maze and Frankie Beverly. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
you listen to that, every song is like phenomenal because of the
Yeah.
musicianship, the vocals, the whole. You know, there's no like one rock star in that group. It's like
Yeah.
just the whole group makes it.
Yeah. In terms of new stuff, I mean, it's an old band, but still putting out good records. It's Meshuggah. The new Meshuggah
Yeah.
record
Yeah.
is just ridiculous. It's so good. Um, a band called Sun, I really like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They named after the Sun amp, which is also a great amp.
Mm.
But they're like a really strange band. It's like the guy owns Southern Lord Records. Um, very kind of experimental noise band, and then there's a punk band I just got into recently, or I guess it's more like an indie band. They're called the Beths. They're from New Zealand. Female singer. They're really, really good. Um, but yeah, a lot of stuff I kind of like you, Joe. I'd go back to older stuff as well, and um, I'll go through bouts of old country, and then right now I'm deep into like a metal route. One metal band that came in the last 10 years I really love is Nails.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
just so freaking mean. I love it. It's they had a song they recently did with Max Calvera from Sepultura singing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They kind of channel this really interesting like punk thrash blast beat thing. It's just really good. It's the kind of music that you want to go destroy something when you hear it. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like Slayer in that way. It's like I'm not gonna just listen to a whole Nails record, but for like 10 minutes I'm going to go balls out and drive very fast and listen to this very angry music and then switch to something else.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Nail. It definitely makes you want to beat the shit out of somebody. You know what I mean? when you
Oh,
when you
it's
listen to it, but
so
yeah,
good.
they're fucking great. Love Nail. Yeah. But,
You guys like that band that I think it was either the drummer or one of the guitarists from Nails, Fireburn with uh that was it Joseph, the guy that he sang for the Bad Brains for a while. You heard that yet?
No,
Sounds
no.
like Nails like Nails meets Bad
I
Brains.
did see this. Yeah, I did see this actually. When I think about it, I only heard like a blip of it, but now I totally remember. Is it good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it sounds like a heavier Bad Brains, still fast punk,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
You know, I was I think Scott might have possibly could be wrong. Might have been another Scott. But it was real interesting. One individual that I really got into for a while for numerous reasons, musically, politically. I talked about it in my that last podcast too when we were talking about that. But um, was Frank Zappa, man. He when I got introduced to him years ago, um, I was intrigued just because how ridiculous his lyrics were. You know, and and they're some of the most ridiculous lyrics I've ever heard in my entire life. Like literally, even I thought Fishbone's lyrics were crazy. I think that they got influenced heavily by Frank Zappa's crazy ass lyrics. I ain't never heard no stuff like that before, man. And hilarious, you know what I'm saying? Funniest stuff, and just and witty and smart and intelligent. But on the musical side, and I read a book from Frank Zappa. I never knew. I admired that so much, man, that guy so much because he learned so much about the music business. You know what I mean? And he knew so much about. He was the type of cat that, all right, I want to have a R&B type, album. So I'm gonna get these badass studios musicians, put them in the studio. We're gonna hit the road. Okay, next album, I want to be a more orchestrate, or rock one. So I'm gonna get these badass musicians, put them together. You know what I'm saying? The more and more I learned about the way he put things together, I had like mad respect for him and just everything about what he did musically, man. Literally grew on me to be one of my, top favorite musicians.
No, I can see that.
Hmm.
Yeah. I like that the comparison though with like Fishbone, I mean like you could tell that they're definitely like
They had to be influenced, man. They had to be. Because there was nobody that goofy and fun,
yeah.
and even nasty, like that rock wise, Zappa was like, man, man, God, I don't know if y'all how much listen to, man. If y'all y'all listen to that song Dynamo Hum he did, man, and like that song right there is about it's about a lesbian. He bet a lesbian that if he had sex with her, he could make her come, you know, and she explains to him like she she gives him a tip how to do it, and so he listens to the tip and does it, and it's the most craziest thing you ever heard in your life, but the music on it is funky. You know what I'm saying? The beat's going. You know what I'm saying? The lyrics are like it's just like my wife always looks at me crazy when I listen to it. She's like, don't play that. I'm just like no,
Yeah.
but
That's not a song that could be put out in today's culture.
oh God, God, man. What would happen? The whole internet would probably crack in half.
Yeah, people are too sensitive now.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. Who could only imagine what good gracious.
I kind
Man,
of
but
hate that though. It's like that. We've gotten to that point where it's
me
like
too.
your art. It's like freedom of speech. Well, realistically, it's not there because, and it's not even the government. It's our own peers.
Group
Everybody's gonna
think.
get bent and hurt about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even
Thing.
generally actually heard about it, but being hurt for another group that is potentially not even hurt, but it's like the weirdest thing now where people are getting offended for other people before those
Yeah.
people are offended.
Exactly. It.
Well, I was having a talk with a couple friends, I don't know, 3-4 years ago before she got really crazy. But like three of us were old school Richmond. One guy lived most of his life in Norfolk, but moved to Richmond when it was still Richmond. And we were just talking. I was like, you used to walk down Broad Street, and if you bump shoulders with somebody, you balled up your fist. And nowadays, you walk down Broad Street, you bump somebody on the shoulder, and it's like, oh, hey, sorry, man, can I get you a craft brew? And we're like, but we're like, is it better or worse? Because we almost were like missing that old school, you got to watch your six all the time, Richmond. Whereas now it's like you just go out and do whatever you want to, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
It's like where the hookers and the drug dealers used to hang out. I mean, y'all that are here know, like all of Scott's Addition. You didn't go in Scott's Addition after like 9-10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
And that's like
yeah.
the hit place now. It's just,
Yeah, I
it's
think
weird.
I mean I think people when I lived in New York, I would hear people talk about missing the old New York or whatever. And those are generally the people who had money and could go in there and like it's like they were going spelunking or going because the people probably in those neighborhoods probably weren't happy about how bad it was. I don't know. I mean, I always felt like when people talk about missing when things are dangerous, it's like I doubt the people who were dealing with the danger in their neighborhood felt that way. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
of course, at the same time, those people were also forced out. So who
Mhm.
knows? I mean,
Yeah.
it's really hard. It's some to really
I
figure out where it all begins and ends.
I just know that like even living in Atlanta and just like through the things, just being back in at Richmond and back and forth, I saw the slow progress in Richmond, and I must say that Richmond is definitely different than I grew up, um, and I would say more so in a, it's more diverse now. So, I guess in that aspect of it, I feel as though that's cool. But like what Scott was saying, it's like, I don't know, man. These people so soft today, man. Like I saw this meme
Yeah.
one time, like to this, like Scott was saying, I saw this meme, and it had this little kid, and he was like, he had his fist in there, like, yeah. He had a black eye, he had a cut face, he had a helmet on, had a, and he was just riding his bike. You said you can tell he just fell off the ground, got his, got busted up. But he was happy. It was like in the 80s. You could tell it was
Yeah.
80s, but that's how we were, what I'm saying, growing up. Man, we outside all day. You know what I'm saying? You get
Yep.
ticks on you from being outside. That's a war. That's a war. What do you call it? A war thing? You know what I'm saying? You like, yeah, I got how many ticks you got? I got 3. I won. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get beat up, get hit with sticks. You know what I'm saying? It was different back then, man. These jokers
I've,
today, man. You
I've
like
seen
you
a
said, you
similar when it
step on
was
their
a
toe. Yeah,
I
man.
saw a similar when it was a kid on a big wheel jumping, and it was a picture from like back in the 70s or 80s, and the caption was just like, "80s kids don't give a fuck."
I think it's the same one. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
The flip side to all that is we used to have more defined roles or genre. Like you can look at it like kind of musical genre, right? Um, like it used to be you picked your thing and you stayed in that lane,
Yeah.
whatever it was. And it's crazy to see new bands like that band Turnstile, for instance,
Yeah.
that just cross all over that. And there's a band that's on my label now called Wrong Worshippers. Same thing. Like by lacking that need to specifically identify with one thing, these musicians are able to kind of pull from everything and make something that's like completely new.
Yeah.
And I think we were kind of like one of the first generations to really kind of have that going on, like when rap and rock started getting put together,
Yeah.
like with the fucking Judgment Night soundtrack, with Public Enemy, with Slayer.
Oh yeah, that joint was hard.
Like that was the shit. Like I loved rap, I loved rock, but when you put those two together, that's where shit got crazy, And then I think it went downhill with things like Limp Bizkit and that kind of shit. But there was a cool way to do it,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
It was a
now
more
you see these
authentic way.
kids. Yeah. And now you see these kids and like they don't have those definitions. And some of the music that's coming out these days, it's fucking crazy awesome. It's like shit that I kind of wish it happened when I was a kid, but it's at the expense of having, I think, community, because there isn't that hard identification into like, this is my place,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really I didn't realize how what's the word? How lucky I was with the scene that we grew up with and how it was defined. It was like, even though we weren't really defined as like a hardcore band, or our music wasn't a certain way, we didn't even want it that way, but at least people knew that we'd be playing at hardcore shows. And but I thought it was cool that when we were growing up, how if a Madball CD came out, we'd be getting a Wu-Tang CD the next day, and we'd be talking about both and playing
Oh
both.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was real. That was a real culture shock for me because the hardcore scene in Richmond was nothing close to how it was in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Because we had
Really?
our tight. No, it wasn't even like when big bands would come, then just kind of visualize maybe if in Richmond, if you have North Side, West Side, East Side, and South Side, all had their different cliques, right? And they all stayed separate, and they came together when maybe a big band would come in. That's the easiest way I can describe
Yeah.
how Atlanta was compared to Richmond. Richmond, everybody knew each other. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that down there. So it really threw me off. I didn't realize how unique this Richmond hardcore scene and how special it was really. And it took me a lot of getting adjusted to down there when it
Rich,
came to the scene. But I finally figured it out. But nothing like what we had up here. This what we had was very unique and very special to say the least.
yeah,
I think
Richmond was
VC.
like Go ahead, Scott.
I was just
Very
gonna say, I
good.
think VCU has always kind of played a big role with our music scene too, because you got so many kids coming for the VCU music program
Mm-hmm.
that are from all over the country, and you had kind of a conglomeration of just different parts of the country, different styles of music, and a lot of them I don't think ever left. They came here, they went to VCU, they got their degree, and just blew up with bands around here that were just everything under the sun came out of Richmond.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Richmond too, like to that point of like you were making Joe around feeling really unique is like, yeah, I noticed that like when I first started kind of traveling, I appreciated Richmond a whole lot more after I
Yeah.
traveled a bit. Like I remember there's you kind of always have that plan like yeah I kind of like go leave, and then I remember being traveling is like wow how cool Richmond was, how unique it was, the city itself too, just even like the way the neighborhood, like the way the Fan and Jackson Ward and all those neighborhoods kind of roll together. It's really unique. It's just a sprawl, like huge. It goes so deep, and you can just wander through streets, and yeah, it's still affordable. I mean, even today, I mean, it's not as much as it was, but still, like you know, it's really unique where artists can live and afford a place. Generally speaking, definitely, it's changed, but um, it was all its own little microcosm too, because bands would skip Richmond a lot of times on tour. They go from DC to maybe Charlotte or something. So everyone just got forced to make it up. And then eventually, because of Twisters and things like that, and people started stopping there. Hardcore bands started realizing. I think Vision has sort of played there every week for like 3 years. It felt like, all right, it's another VOD and Hatebreed show. Like literally, I think literally those bands played there every week, but it was because Richmond brought it. Like those were places where like the hardcore scene there just got bananas. Where it was like, I mean, it was tough. Like the shows there were crazy. So that was what was really unique, and it was Richmond had a reputation. And when I would go play other places, I just remember always being like, yes, as rarely did I feel like it touched how tough that Richmond scene was, for sure.
Yeah. I remember. I think almost all of us here, most of us here. Do y'all remember that time the Deftones actually played Twisters? You remember that when they first came
Yeah,
out?
Yeah,
orange 9
Yeah.
millimeter and glass jar or something.
Yes.
yeah,
And it was like I ain't gonna front. That was one of the craziest shows I've seen in Twisters. Like really.
Yeah,
But
it was
it
so
was
hot
just
in
that
there.
like if you were a musician and you came to Richmond and saw that Twister show, like if you were a Deftones, you were like, "Yo, last night was crazy, Richmond." It was like you said, man. Richmond, man, that audience, that those folks, man, they brought it, man. You felt proud, man. That you were from Richmond. You know what I'm saying? And you were part of that scene. You felt proud, man, because y'all we did, man. We supported all these bands that came through, you know what I'm saying? We showed them love, you know what I'm saying? So like Dan said, I'm sure I know for a fact that outside of moving outside of Richmond that there is a certain reputation that Richmond has. I know for a fact.
That was one
yeah.
thing Jerry Bird did really well.
Yeah.
You would have a week. You'd have like Cannibal Corpse and like Disinterment one night, and then you'd have like Madball the next night. Following that, you'd have like some like crazy goth night followed by like Buck Cherry or something.
Yeah.
You know, it would be like you know, there were so many. He had like big national acts like come through, like
totally.
and he'd have that place like constantly, just like clockwork. Like huge shows in this small ass. I remember seeing Linkin Park working a Linkin Park show there.
Yeah. I saw Blink 182 there. Yeah, like 30 kids there.
I saw Less Than Jake.
Yeah, a bunch of bands like that. I remember one of the early independent shows was with Donkey Balls.
Oh yeah.
I think it was 94 or 95.
Yeah.
Do you remember Donkey Balls?
I remember.
So
they used to dress up in crazy outfits.
Yeah, one of them had fake boobs tied to him all over his body, and then they had a TV playing in the background with a video of their dog fucking all of their legs. It was some weird performance art crap. I was like, this sucks. This is so bad.
Yeah.
It
That's
sucked.
stupid.
I don't care. It was lame. But my favorite thing about Twisters at times was actually, Joe, I remember you would start talking to was it Roland who worked the door?
Yeah.
And he was a huge WWF fan. And he was Captain Cannabis when they would set up the ring there. And I remember he hated everybody. Like you could just tell he was like, oh, I just hate all these kids. And out of nowhere, Joe started talking about The Undertaker or something, and I saw his eyes light up. He was like, finally, someone I can talk to about what I care about. And talk to Joe about wrestling for the next hour. It was awesome.
Oh, man. We can't go down that wrestling rabbit hole, man. We'd be here for another 2 hours.
He lived above Twisters at one point, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the guy who owned Twisters had like apartment buildings that a lot of the people lived in.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like sketchy. Like anytime you're like renting from your boss and like money can like just, I guess, go directly to your rent, like that seems a little sketchy.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mining job, basically.
Exactly, like, or like how like Mount Olive Pickle Company is, or like where you live in like, here's the company dorms.
Well, I didn't know that about Mount Olive. Do they have company dorms for Mount Olive?
Decades ago, yeah, and there was like some kind of like, if you wanted to like buy something and you worked at Mount Olive, you had to buy it from the company store. Like, I mean, it was like.
You get paid in pickles.
Yeah. We're just not going to give you cash. We'll just give you credit at the store. Yeah.
So on another tip, kind of winding things down, closing out. What's everybody doing now, man? You know what I'm saying? Like musically, what's? I mean, I know what everybody's doing. Like pretty much, I've talked to everybody what they're doing in life. Anything popping musically for anybody? Like me personally, I think I got a project down in Atlanta I'm doing, and I think believe it or not, I might be playing bass for it. But yeah. What else? What you what y'all got going on?
Nothing for me.
Nothing yet. I've actually been talking to T a lot too. So, we're just trying to figure out what I think we're like. I listen to a lot of like I was saying, I listen to a lot of reggae. And, I mean, we both have a lot of the same tastes. So I think like we might do something laid back. I've always been a huge fan of go-go, and I'd love to do a go-go band, but I mean, trying to find people that like have the time to play right now is always hard.
Yeah.
I mean, me included.
Yeah.
But it's like I always talk to T about like doing like some some kind of like maybe like reggae-ish band, like something fun that just laid back, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I've been recording stuff of my own here over the last year or so. I think like everyone else, it's hard because of adult stuff, kids, and working. But I have been recording a bunch. I probably got about 5 or 6 songs. It's a mix of like kind of Swedish death metal, and then also just some more noisy, just metal. So I'm finishing it up, but slowly but surely. But I'm actually pretty excited about it. So we'll see where it goes.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
Hey Dan, why don't you move back to Richmond?
I would love to. I would love to actually. Nashville is awesome, but if I could live in both places, that's what I would love to be able to do. But I do. I would love to. I don't know what kind of you all's recording setups are like at home. I'm always happy to trade stuff back and forth.
It's always hard with drums, you got to buy a lot of equipment, like as far as like getting good sounds for it. I mean, it's like one of those things, like at least if you write it, and you like even like just do some garage band recordings with it, and then later on everybody meets up and takes like a couple days and goes into the studio and just knocks it out.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't think really these days you really need to go to the studio. I mean, they got such good.
Yeah. Those days done. I mean, even that recording we did, it was all analog. I don't even think Mark, he didn't even use Pro Tools at all, did he? It was all when it started. Did he use Pro Tools? It was all analog.
No, all tape.
Yeah, it's all analog. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the Deftones. I remember the Deftones that was one of those albums. It might have been around the Fur. I think it could have been the Adrenaline, but one of those two albums is really when they started taking the analog and then switching it over to Pro Tools and edited it on. I think it was that was a time frame people really started transitioning.
Yeah, I've gotten it so much that like barely any of the drummers are actually playing the drums because I mean they got so many good drum programs. As long as the drummer can play the drums to it, they can pretty much just program however they want. It sounds like a real drummer's playing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I do here just to be able to record stuff. Like Kurt Ballou from Converge he's recorded Ben Kohler hitting drums and you can program all that stuff. I mean, it's not the same as a real drummer in terms of feel, but at least for like demoing stuff at the house, you can sort of like, I mean, I can't play drums. I'm awful. So if I want to like record something just to get an idea down, I'll program drums, then I'll take my bass and guitar and record it. And some of the amp sims are pretty good now too. It's still not the same. I do have like but it sounds, I mean, you wouldn't tell it by listening to it quickly.
Yeah.
I remember I read this article once in Questlove. He was mad because his live drums, they made his live drums sound like fake drums.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just like, could you imagine being a drummer being like, that
was on Philadelphia Half-Life, right?
Yeah, it sure was. You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, because
exactly.
that it sounds like all programmed drums. It sounds like garbage.
Yep.
It's one of my least favorite albums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scott, are you still playing drums?
No, I fuck around with a practice pad once in a while, but I had my kit in my office, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and one of my friend's sons came over and just kept bugging me. So, like, I sold him the bass kit. I kept my nice cymbals and snare and the good stuff. And he turned around and flipped it for some pills, and it just pissed me off.
Oh, wow.
And then, like you said, I started looking a couple years ago because a friend of mine was in a local Zombie X, did like a White Zombie cover band. And he wanted to start playing, and I started looking at kits again, and I was like, all right, if I'm going to buy another drum set, I'm going to buy everything that I always wanted. And it wasn't huge, but it was like top of the line Pearl with a rack and all. And I'm like, it was fucking $12,000.
Yep.
I'm like, that ain't happening unless I'm going to play seriously. And I'd like to play again, but kind of like you were saying, just something to play around, play some local shows. I don't want to be serious about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Every once in a while, I check the trading post to see if there's like a cheap kit somewhere, but then I'm like, I don't have anywhere to set it up. And, other than Michael, nobody I could really play with that I know around here.
That means Gary Llama's the only rock star I know now. He's the only one representing the old, making it happen. I'm living my life vicariously through you right now, Gary.
Trying.
I just want to do a like top 40s cover band or like a Motown cover band and play wine festivals.
Hey man, look, the funny thing about that is, man, you look, you'll probably make some more money than
they make like that band Casper. They played that Powhatan Wine Festival and made like I think like $8,000 for playing for an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, they do weddings and weddings, all that stuff. Them people make so much money. Those corporate bands, they make so much money.
No doubt.
Crazy.
Well, see, that was about the only thing that really interested me is just doing like 90s, like the stuff we always used to listen to.
Yeah.
Do a band that just played a bunch of like 90s metal and hardcore covers, and just go out and have fun every once in a while.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
What you got, Ryan? What's up with you?
I don't know, man. I got, I bought all the new equipment and stuff, and I've got 3 basses now, and but it's just you can't. It's been terrible trying to find someone, people worthy enough of playing with. I don't know. It's just, and then it just my mind races on like what I want to do, or it might be like some bands that I'm into and nobody else knows who those bands are or something. It's just it's hard. And then there's a million musicians out there that I don't know. It's just trying to find the right people to vibe with.
And that was a big thing I found. I never really gelled with anybody else. I tried to play with a couple of groups, and it was just personalities or playing styles just never worked out again.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just packed everything up and just put the shit in the corner for a couple of years.
Yeah. But I want to play again, but like, just for fun at this age, So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because I don't know if y'all know, but T is he's a bass tech for Akon. So I don't know if y'all know that, but he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to the business and a lot of other things. So it's really interesting to listen to a perspective, somebody like him that sees, he sees music from a lot different perspective than we would. Even Dan hitting the road and stuff, just because it's like kind of merging in what Gary was saying and stuff about like hip hop, that whole entertainment thing. It's like you got people out there, man, that literally are making a living off this stuff, man. Easy.
Oh, yeah.
My homeboy, man, from Tribal Seas. I don't know if they're one of the bigger reggae bands going around right now. Man, not to get his business, man, but they would make some good money, real good money. Well, I shouldn't say real good money, but he was making a living. I put it that way. He was making a living, doing what he loved, man. So, it's still out there, but, it's just like finding that niche, man,
Yeah, that California reggae scene right now, that's that's the hot thing right now.
It's hot, yeah. One of them joints just running on Grammy, I think, and doing reggae. One of them bands, I think it was I can't remember the name of them. It's one of them popular.
Revolution.
Maybe, I think it was another one. But you might be right. But man, them jokers making money, man. Even after things got after COVID had hit and people started playing again. Yeah, them the people make people are still making it.
Yep.
Even big acts down to, like we said, people that are doing covers. You can still make money. But so if you still like I tell anybody that's watching this, anybody out there, Ryan, whatever, you still want to do music and it's in your heart, man. Shoot. As long as you're not losing anything, keep on striving, man.
Yeah. Plus, too, nowadays, you can. I mean, with the equipment and everything now, a lot of people are kind of doing, with hand, just doing everything themselves, and doing everything at home and putting it out on the internet or whatever. Doing things that way. So that makes it hard too. Not like back when we were doing it, trying to find musicians and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, but it is, man. I'm just going back to saying all this, man. I'm just happy that we had the experience we had. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very happy to, have been friends and still friends with all of y'all. And man, this was all a wonderful experience. I'm very grateful for Gary and Llama for archiving this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Very grateful. Gary, I don't think you understand how many people that you made very happy by doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Much appreciated.
I think the value, and kind of going to what you were saying a second ago, like we kind of grew up in an era where the big touring bands, that was kind of what you aspired to. But if you look at music and compare it to other types of art, you got these painters like that Thomas Kincaid motherfucker, and he's just selling paintings in malls. And then you've got other painters that maybe every 10 years they sell a painting. They put together a show and then they're just doing life. And the money viability of it doesn't affect the quality of it. Like it doesn't reduce it because it didn't make more money. It doesn't reduce it because you didn't tour off the album. And so when I'm looking back to music that was made, or especially around teen years, where those opportunities just aren't going to be there, I kind of feel more of a obligation when I realize that something is, or I view something as good, to try and offset the fuckery of the market and make it available.
Right.
That's awesome.
Makes perfect sense. Well, you know what I'm saying? I know we all got, most of us got little ones we got to tend to, and probably all of them knocked out. But I definitely appreciate everybody coming together, man. This is good. We we got the whole crew here, and
We can do a part 2 of this sometime.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
Anytime
part
y'all wanna
2,
do
part
it,
3,
like-
whatever.
Maybe after Dan moves back to Richmond.
Yeah.
Well, let's definitely do that. And then also, one thing I got into during COVID, at least one of the good things to come out was when I was crawling out of my skin, couldn't see anybody, would just watch horrible videos of my friends on Zoom, and we'd just do what we used to do on the couch, but share a screen and do it. It's actually a lot of fun. So if y'all ever want to do that, watch horrible videos.
Yeah, we'll do that off camera.
There's a great movie called Jim Cotta. It's
Yes,
a movie.
so terrible.
Do you know what Jim Cotta is?
Yeah, when he's running through the city, and there just happens to be this looks like a gymnastic horse, like right in the middle of the city, like covered in moss, and he goes up there and starts fighting people with gymnastics.
Yeah, so basically, I just put the Wikipedia in this chat here. The theme of Gymkhana is the CIA recruits the gold medalist gymnast, teach him karate, and there's a fictional country called Parmistan that
Yeah.
we want to put an ICBM as an early warning system against the Russians. And the only way we can do it is if he wins this contest they do, which basically it's like Hunger Games. He gets one wish, and the CIA is convinced him if he wins, his wish is to put a missile silo in Parmistan. So they teach him karate. He fuses it with gymnastics, and that's the theme of the movie. It's the shittiest thing you can imagine. It's hilarious. It's so good.
It is so bad, but it's well worth the watch. It's as cringeworthy as like Toxic Avenger.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
totally. It's
Oh, I gotta
really
see that.
good.
I'm gonna check
Yeah,
that out tomorrow.
Gymkhana.
All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it on up here, man. And again, like I said, man, this is what this is what my podcasts are for, man, to enlighten people and really just
I don't think
express
anyone was
people,
enlightened by anything I talked about today.
yeah. Hey man, just I tell people all the time, it's like the more diverse you are as an individual, the more topics you can talk about and know about. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
y'all know me, man. I've been around the world a bunch of times and met a whole bunch of, people, the good, the bad, and the ugly, man. And it's it's fun for me to just be able to, talk to other people, man, and just share knowledge, what I'm saying, learn stuff, man, share experiences like we did today, it's a good thing, man. And again, to have this archive, man, because we can go back for, this is going to be recorded, so we go back and look at this stuff and just really remember our great memories together, so it's a great thing, man. I appreciate all y'all, man. And if y'all haven't already, please, follow the Polka Dot Rabbit, y'all out there watching this podcast. Got a lot of good, more good content coming y'all's way, man. So I thank all y'all, man. And yeah, y'all stay tuned. We'll have to have a part 2 down the line.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. You take
All right.
care. All y'all.
All right, man.
Guys.
Deal.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Care.
Bye.
Appreciate it, guys.
Later, guys.